Welcome everybody. We're broadcasting live on the banks of the Potomac River in historic Georgetown, Washington, D.C. And the subject of today's webinar is how to pick a good lender. So we're going to break down for you the important things that you need to look for when you're picking a lender so that you pick a good one. Those most important points are the perspective of the lender, the communication style of the lender, and the level of empowerment of the lender. So it's perspective, communication, and empowerment. So let's focus on what we mean by perspective. Perspective means that the lender or the bank is focused on you as opposed to them. So when they're talking to you, if they're constantly bringing themselves up and making themselves sound like the greatest bank in the world, that means they're probably less focused on your need. They need to be focused on your need. They need to be focused on your future. If they're talking more about their past accomplishments as opposed to your future, that may be a sign that they're a bit more bureaucratic and they're a bit more inwardly focused. What you want to work with is a bank that is external and that is customer-centric. You want a bank that is going to understand your unique needs as a company. So you want to make sure that they're focused on you, they're focused on your needs, and they're focused on your growth. You also want to make sure that they're focused on relationships. Relationships are the things that you're looking for in a lender. So with perspective, they need to have a focus on you, the customer. The second is communication style. The communication style is very important. You need to make sure that the communication style of the lender is simple. Many lenders use a veritable alphabet soup of acronyms to describe all the various departments and all the different roles within their bank that they have. What you need to do is find somebody that'll break it down for you in simple English so they can actually understand it. You also want to deal with a lender that is actively listening to you. Actively listening is very important because they need to pull information together, they need to understand the company, they need to understand where you need the capital and for how long you need the capital. You also need to work with a bank that will actually care about how you perceive them. It's a very important point. A lot of bankers have a bit of arrogance to them and make you feel as if you're lucky to get a loan from them. You want to deal with somebody that actually cares about the experience that they're subjecting you to. So you want to work with somebody that cares about your experience. The final item is the level of empowerment of the lender. We always find that the best bankers to deal with are the ones that are decisive at a local level. These are lenders who have decision makers in their office. These are lenders that don't have to go to the other side of the country and get 10 signatures in order to approve your loan. You also want to make sure that that level of empowerment translates into somebody on the deal team that has conviction. You need to work with a lender or an individual that has a vested interest and takes a personal interest in getting your loan closed. If you don't have somebody that takes your loan closing very personally, then it may be unimportant to others in that bank. You need to find somebody who's going to take it personally, because people like to do business with people, and through that personal connection, they'll fight through whatever barriers come up along the due diligence process. And finally, you need to make sure, as part of the level of empowerment, that there's transparency in the deal process. Deal transparency and how they're going to manage the loan and how they're going to go through the different stages of internal approval and legal documentation is very important. So to go over it again for you, it's the perspective, making sure that they're focused on you, your need, and your growth. Their communication style. Are they shooting straight with you? Are they using simple English? Are they actively listening? Do they care how you perceive them? And thirdly, it's the level of empowerment that they have at the local level. Does somebody have conviction, and can a local person make a decision? Those are the things you want to look for. Now, what are the telltale signs that you want to avoid that might indicate that you're dealing with a non-good lender or a bad lender? Let's take a big bank. Big banks are very bureaucratic, and unless a big bank is focused, they're going to be more difficult to deal with. There are some very good big banks, and they're good because they're able to make the bank small. They're able to orchestrate on a smaller level so that they can connect with the needs of the middle market clients that they're trying to bring into the bank. So that's one thing that you want to think about. You also want to be aware of community banks that are trying to break outside of their region and trying to do commercial lending and trying to do things that they haven't done before that they don't have a track record with. You also want to be aware of banks that are a little too interested in cross-selling and banks that are a little too interested in the cash management account, because that means that they're really more focused on getting their hands on your cash management and not taking a whole lot of risk. But most importantly, you want to stay away from banks that you don't have a good feeling about the people. Banking is like any other discipline in business. It's all about finding good people, building relationships with good people, and building trust off those relationships and being successful. So go out, make sure that you make sure that you can assess the perspective, the communication style, and the level of empowerment, and you will be sure to find a good lender and avoid the bad lenders.